So in India, since 2014, we find ourselves in the middle of the blue economy, which is this larger international idea of transforming traditional uses of the ocean from fishing and diversifying that into a various range of activities, which includes coastal shipping, port infrastructure, tourism, deep sea mining, deep sea fisheries resources. And that's essentially what we are finding has been changing the landscape of the coastlines in a big way in India as well. So, with the current government's flagship program, the Sagarmala, we've got the idea of the port-led development, where massive infrastructure is being put on the coastlines to essentially facilitate the import and export of manufactured goods in and out of the country. So, a lot of existing ports are being upgraded. A lot of new ports are being built, and there's a lot of investment going into connecting these ports to industrial corridors, a range of roadways, railways, a lot of coastal traffic that is being developed. And for the Sagarwala, there's an implicit and very clear understanding that a lot of the finance is going to come through international financial instruments or development finance. So one of the funding mechanisms within the National Perspective Plan of the Sagarmala is to talk about how dollar-denominated loans and development finance can be used to raise money that can put this infrastructure on the coastline. The other aspects of the blue economy, including the deep-sea catch of tuna fisheries or the thrust of tourism, have an explicit cost that comes with it, in which we have to look at the global scenario of what's driving some of these moves. So a lot of the export-oriented tunas are again looking at export earnings through their selling to foreign countries. A whole range of shrimp aquaculture, which is ongoing, has foreign investment now coming in as well, and all of it again goes for export to American and European markets. And similarly, in the international scenario of what's happening with tourism and the food and beverage industry, we're seeing a thrust of that on the coastlines as well. So all of this put together essentially means that there's a huge funding opportunity for big corporations, for development finance, and the financial instruments are becoming key in how that finance is brought into India and how it's implemented. So recently, the Ministry of Finance had a consultation with the Asian Investment Bank on investing in ports in India through the Sagarmala project. And I think as we get into the Governor's Board meeting of the AIIB in Mumbai, it's really important that civil society and various people who are directly in the line of displacement through these coastal projects, including fish workers, a lot of the inland fisheries, a lot of the people who are reliant on inland waters and the environment as a whole, there's really an understanding to go out and track this finance. What are the policy landscape changes that are happening nationally, as well as who are the key international players that are coming into this kind of investment? Because what's happening is that the environmental crisis has been created, which is driving a lot of quick reactions to try and stem the environmental destruction that we are in. And that essentially has, again, two sides to it. One is that people are put out of contact from the natural resources that rely on. So marine protected areas, no-take zones, forests only for wildlife and not for people who've traditionally had rights in those lands are some of the physical changes that we see. So on one side, we've got people being removed from being in contact with natural resources through changes in policies of access, rights over land, the creation of marine protected areas through conservation initiatives. And the other side is using technology as a means to substitute human labor. So a lot of mechanization, a lot of blockchain technology, a lot of supply chain logistics, all through technology and traceability to try and look at how clean the system from the supply and demand side can be tracked. And in all of this, essentially, we're transforming how in India, Sagarmala would make the coastlines look, how all of the business and the money there would come in, and how the people who are already existing there would be displaced. So the People's Meet for the AIIB becomes a great opportunity for us to talk about all of these various changes that are happening with privatization on land and privatization at sea, and how the blue economy is ushering a range of new activities into the coastline, which haven't really taken into consent or consideration the people who are already there. So tracking finance becomes one of the key ways to look at who's financing the displacement of the people and the destruction of the environment that's going to happen with this kind of intensive infrastructure on the coastlines. And since the Sagarmala is directly demanding that kind of development finance to be brought into the country, there's a need for networking and expanding upon our understanding of these issues so that we can parallelly track what are the financial changes that are coming into this country.
Okay.
How much was that?